Everybody, it's your host. It's me, Dan, coming at you from Silver Factory Books and Records in sunny, scenic Ballston Spa, New York. I've been talking about a bunch of comics recently, and I'm going to keep up that streak. And we're going to take a look at Hate Number 19 by Peter Bagge. And I'm going to make my argument why, as a retailer, I think this is probably the best single issue comic ever done about retail. You already have this kind of Mad Magazine. Well, we're kind of like Simpsons, right? Like Bag and Matt Groening are probably like the two cartoonists most preoccupied with sort of suburban decay. And you see a lot of it here. You know, this is suburban New Jersey, and the store's open, but Buddy Bradley's friend BJ, he's drugged out, asleep, something behind the counter. He's speaking in gibberish. A lot of little gags and Easter eggs on this cover. This doll's called a Who's It. Beach Boys, Smiley Smile, Partridge Family. There's just beer on the street. Pack of cigarettes. It's just filthy. And he even misspells his own name here for, I presume, for effect. It's actually spelled Bagge, in case you were wondering. And I think all of these have a different slogan here. I'd have to pull out the rest of my issues, but recommended for people with at least half a brain. Published by Fantagraphics. This is about. This is like a little less than 2/3 of the way. No, I guess if you count the annuals, this is about midway through the Buddy Bradley stories that Peter Bagge did. There's a few hundred pages of them. He has an eye for the suburbs like pretty much no one else, except, you know, maybe like early Simpsons. Uh, and this is $2.95. $2.95 would have been a little on the expensive side for a comic when this came out. And I want to say this is the late. No, this is mid 90s. This is 95. So Hate has gone color. You get announcements of some stuff coming out from Fantagraphics. There's a Black Hole. We should look at that issue at some point in the future. And just everybody's made out of noodles. The noodles are a little overcooked. And, you know, you have a cast of characters so off-putting that this guy can be like a sympathetic protagonist, right? Like, you gotta kind of bring it down to his level. And I think Bagge does the colors himself on this. No, it says drawn by Peter Bagge and Jim Blanchard, so Blanchard may have done the colors. It doesn't say what Blanchard did. But you got passed out drunks on the street, million people bugging him about stuff. They're all kind of, you know, there's the hipster, there's your like weird unkempt dude with the trench coat. You got all your types here. And they're just all asking him for stuff, and this is so relatable. Like, the guy showing up with the crazy glasses just with a random flyer for a show, like that happens so often at the store. And we have Butch Bradley's son colors in the cover of the first issue of Raw, which that's like a $300 magazine now, but this is fictional, so hopefully no actual copies of Raw Volume 1, Number 1 were destroyed in the making of this comic book. And so the story so far. You got Buddy. Buddy moved back in with his parents in New Jersey, ran into his old friend BJ. BJ is very smart about antiques, but he's a little bit of a lowlife. Um, I kind of always say like the resale business. It's a little bit like the carnival unless you're anchored to one spot because you're just kind of like traveling random places for like 3 hours every day. Thankfully, I don't have to do that anymore, so I have time to make videos for all the nice people. So BJ's introducing Buddy to his girlfriend Pam, who works at a local strip club. And it's funny because like everyone comes into this antique store, retro store, like pissed at either Buddy or BJ, and they always leave with some random piece of excuse me, like crappy merchandise. Like if you get any more of these little Kittles dolls, let me know. I loved these things when I was a kid. That's just so spot on. And Bagge kind of doesn't have the stylistic range of like a clothes or Crumb or somebody like that, but he understands the fundamentals of cartooning like very well. He knows that he keeps everything in proportion, but everything's very cartoony, and cartoony in this context just kind of means it goes straight to the point. It's supposed to be setting up his dialogue. He's got some of the best dialogue in comics. I'm not the first person to say this, but these are some of the only comics I really laugh out loud at when I'm reading them. And you have the crazy collector with they do kind of have that look sometimes with they're obsessed with like the toy packaging doesn't have the notch cut to go on a pegboard, and Buddy's like kind of antagonistic with him, and then BJ cuts him some kind of deal, and Buddy's exasperated. I feel like that is kind of the two sides of dealing with kind of ornery customers is sometimes quick appeasement is your best option, especially like if it's somebody who's newer, who you haven't gotten to know that much. They could just be having a weird day or whatever. Versus like somebody where it's just every time they're coming in, they're causing trouble, right? And sometimes you got to be Buddy, sometimes you got to be BJ. But anyway, we see that BJ has been pocketing money out of the register, and we don't know what it's for, but we're gonna find out pretty darn soon. And Bagge, he gets what he needs to in the body language. He gets so much mileage out of just contorting the shape of arms, and as a result, the comics feel very lively. Like I could see this turned into an animated sitcom very easily. So he goes home with his fiance or girlfriend Lisa. I think they get married. They have kids, and they're fighting about Buddy's infirm father, who kind of lives on the couch. Lisa compares him to a cat. And he's got the redneck neighbor that found Jesus and stopped doing the Himalayan pixie dust, I guess I'll call it. And he's got a giant monster truck with two tiny wheels and two giant wheels. And that's such a symbol of like 90s trashiness, and when it's given the Peter Bag treatment. The other thing is his lettering is just really funny. Like, the lettering matches the tone of the strip just perfectly. And, he's not betting his chips on his drawing ability. So you get a lot of panels per page. So this comic probably took twice as long to read as, say, like a Marvel comic of that period. Uh, this is very much not like manga. And so BJ lives in the back of the store. People living in the store for financial reasons. I mean, I do that. And Buddy comes in. He's got this book with the accounting, and it turns out BJ has been stealing money. He hasn't been replacing it in the register, and BJ has started taking heroin. So this is a really funny sequence. Buddy's mom comes to watch the store because Buddy can't watch the store. She just keeps catching shoplifters. Like, thankfully, I haven't had a huge shoplifting problem, but it is kind of in the back of my mind because I'm selling, small objects and stuff. And it's just hilarious how Buddy's mom just, like, it's not even really a fight. Like, she just takes him out with one hit, and it's all sold in the face. Like, there's not a lot of motion to those arms, but just the tongue out with the X's in the POW and the motion lines and the stars. You don't really even notice the arm. Like, the arms are just there to communicate what happened, and the rest of it can kind of sell it. And that's an important lesson for a cartoonist because a lot of cartooning is about misdirection and shorthand, right? So you can kind of speed up or slow down how the reader's reading it by how you use the space on the page, how you divide up words versus text, and yeah. So you can, so long as you can get about 65% of the way there, if the picture looks cool, you're probably going to get away with it in a comic. And there's a Buddy and his girlfriend doing some recreational stuff that's not legal. And Buddy goes around looking for BJ because he can't find him. And BJ is such a type. Like, he's like low key arrogant, but he doesn't. He kind of expresses it through exasperation. He doesn't express it as like like bravado in any way. So he seems a lot more mellow than he is. And there's like a lot of those people that I don't know, like Peter Bagge. He's really good at capturing a type in a way that's recognizable, and he really uses that to his advantage. And yeah, and even the clothing in here, like, this is one of this whole series is one of the defining artifacts of the 90s for me. And we get more with Buddy and Lisa and his dad. And this is where Lisa compares him to, yeah. Lisa says, but now that I've gotten used to him, the father, it's kind of like having a pet around the house. And Buddy's like, a pet? And she's like, sure. He's just like a big old cat, because all he does all day is eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom, and he just looks like he looks like he's about to die. But there's not any dignity in it, and I think that's that's another strength of the style that Bagge has, and in its relationship to the story that he's telling here is that um, big events happen, but they're never really allowed to kind of take on an operatic scale because everything looks so cartoony and silly, and it gives it that wry tone that I think that's a defining element of at least like '90s alternative narratives. And there's a lot of examples of that. I can talk more about that if people are interested. And Buddy goes into the record store. BJ's junk sick, and one of the best um, disses I've ever seen in a comic. BJ can't make it to the toilet because he's so sick. So Buddy just grabs the closest mug, and it just so happens to be a Marvel Comics mug, and then we see the urine miss the mug. That's just such a good, like, that's a very Harvey Kurtzman gag, like, especially because so much of it is sold with like the directional devices in the lettering, uh, like, which for sound effects, I feel like that's not normal. And then just the sound effects is like the other urine going into the cup. Um, Edgy stuff, Mr. Bag. So we see the outside of the strip club. We get a nice little street scene. Bag gets to do a few like little incidental details and keeps up that tone of suburban decay. And Buddy and BJ just keep arguing, and Buddy finds his dad at the strip club, and that's the end. And just like Dan Close, Bag would do pretty much everything in these comics, as far as I'm aware, besides that contribution from Jim Blanchard. So I'm pretty sure he designed this ad page because it's it's for his stuff. It's not for fanographic stuff in general. And on the back of this, pretty cool. You get a black and white ad for the movie Crumb. Uh, Even an early mention of having a website for the movie. I wonder if that website still exists somewhere. That might be neat to look at. Anyway, this show is brought to you by the stuff I sell at Silver Factory Books and Records in sunny, scenic Ballston Spa, New York. If you're making a trip to upstate New York, why not check out our 10,000 plus items? We got tapes, we got CDs, we got books, we got comics, we got uh, VCRs. I got a lot of VCRs. There's a lot of stuff. The media and the stuff that plays it. So I'll see you over there. And till next time, read more comics.